Welcome to part one of a conversation of instructional technology. In this video, we're going to talk about what it is, how do we use it, and what the challenges are to instructional technology. Over the last 13 years, I've been talking about instructional technology. This has included ebooks, tablets, such as iPads, Android tablets, Chrome tablets, paperless classrooms and shops, gaming from learning, or gamification of learning, which is the official term, electronic resources, learning management systems, which is otherwise known as an LMS. This presentation is 13 years later, 9 years following the end of my doctoral of education degree, almost 3 years after my last presentation at HVAC Excellence. In this presentation, I'm going to share some of the conclusions I've made over the years regarding instructional technology. So I have to put my standard disclaimer in here. The thoughts and conclusions in this presentation are my own. They do not represent any beliefs of my employer. Any of the case studies I use, I have changed the names of the people involved for privacy. If the scenarios or discussions duplicate anything in real life, that's accidental. I'm making this presentation public. This is the presentation I would have given at HVAC Excellence in Las Vegas, Nevada, between March 2nd and 6th had I submitted on time. I wasn't planning on attending, but I still think it's a valuable thought process to have. So just because I haven't really ever introduced myself on this channel, my name is Christopher Molnar. I live in Babson Park, Florida. I'm employed full-time by Porter & Chester Institute based in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. We're a multi-campus trade school with campuses in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. We teach everything from automotive technology through practical nursing. We have HVAC, we have CAD, we have electronic technician, we have computers and networking in our Pennsylvania campuses, we have respiratory therapy, vet tech, and a whole bunch of other really good programs. I serve in multiple roles in the organization. I'm a curriculum team lead. I also run the HVAC department as the department chair, and I sort of have the unofficial role also of instructional technologist. As the curriculum team lead, I'm responsible for leading the curriculum development process. I'm responsible for programs without curriculum chairs of their own. I train and work with the newer curriculum chairs in getting up to speed on how we do things. I'm responsible for ebook process and adoptions, and I assist with budgeting for student services, supplies, and material. As the HVAC department chair, I manage the curriculum specifically for the HVAC department. I'm a resource for the instructors teaching the program. I maintain state compliances in all states we operate in. And I provide training and support for the newer instructors. And I maintain our master courses on the learning management system. We'll talk more about that process probably in the next part of this presentation. In my role as instructional technologist, I provide support and training on Moodle, which is our LMS. I provide support and training on ebooks. I provide support and training on all additional instructional technology. I assist our IT department in testing, troubleshooting, and resolving issues surrounding our instructional technology. My educational background is that I have a Bachelor of Science in Communications from Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. I have my Master's of Education, again from Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts. I have my Doctor of Education Leadership and Change from Field and Graduate University in Santa Barbara, California. I also am a graduate of the HVAC program where I currently teach. I graduated from Porter & Chester Institute in Career HVAC. I have a Building Controls Certificate from Northeastern University. And way back when, in my high school years, I studied agriculture along with college prep at Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania. That was my high school years. I also am a Florida licensed mechanical contractor, and Connecticut as well, but Florida primarily. I do insurance company inspections of mechanical systems. I do real estate inspections of mechanical systems. I do some testing and balancing. Sometimes I'm called in as a third party to do troubleshooting and find out what's wrong with the equipment. I do some consulting work for other HVAC and mechanical contractors. I'm certified to do home energy audits. I do building envelope testing. And I'm also a continuing education provider through the construction board in the state of Florida, as well as through NATE. Since you can't work all the time, just share a couple small little tidbits about my hobbies. I have 5 retired racing greyhounds that are the key of my life. I am very involved in U.S. Master Swimming. I do open water competition. And I like reading and learning new things, and I do a lot with software development, a lot of times just to see if things can work. There's always something to do around my yard in my house. So enough about me. Let's get on with what we really need to discuss, which is instructional technology. Instructional technology defined. It's the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources. That comes from Wikipedia, and it's probably one of the best definitions I've found. And as we go through this next little section, this will actually become and make more sense. It's the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological process and resources. Does it say anything in here about a device? And this is important. So just think about these next couple slides as we go through, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. Is this iPad by itself instructional technology? Is this phone instructional technology? Is this laptop instructional technology? How about this learning management system page? Is it by itself instructional technology? Is an ebook or a set of ebooks instructional technology? So again, are any of these things individually instructional technology? The answer is no. None of those by themselves are instructional technology. No one item is instructional technology. Instructional technology is a conglomeration of multiple aspects, which includes appropriate technological resources and communication between people. We cannot leave the communication between people out of our technology conversation. Instructional technology has to all be linked together in a way that makes sense for what you're trying to use it for. Okay, in this picture, we have our ebooks. We have our iPads or any other tablet. We have our cloud. We have our phones. And we have our LMS. But the core is we have people. You cannot just throw an iPad loaded with ebooks and having access to an LMS with course material at somebody and say, here, use it. It's instructional technology. We have to maintain that personal touch and that personal approach, and it has to involve mentorship and the communication between people. You cannot have a single piece of instructional technology. You must have communication, teamwork, and people. You must have a process. Technology cannot replace good instruction and mentorship. It can only supplement it. Many schools have tried to use technology 100% to replace good instruction, okay, to replace instructors, to lower costs, okay. It cannot replace good instructors and mentorship, okay. It can be used to supplement good instructors. Let's return to our original definition of instructional technology. Instructional technology is the study and ethical practice of facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources. And again, that's thanks to Wikipedia for that definition. Okay? The technology is not the end all. It's something you can use as a resource to facilitate learning and improving performance. So now we have an idea of what instructional technology is and what it isn't. Our next step is to discuss some of the challenges associated with instructional technology. These are challenges that I hear a lot. I hear it won't work. I hear technology is bad for education. I hear instructors saying kids don't pay attention or adults don't pay attention. I hear instructors saying that the students would rather play on their iPads. Frequent one, and we're going to talk more about this because this is a valid challenge. They cheat. Technology, if not used properly, does lead way to cheating. I hear instructors with major concerns when we bring in instructional technology into a program that they want to replace the instructor. That isn't always true. Matter of fact, instructional technology will not replace the instructor. I hear instructors saying they won't read. They're talking about the students. I heard instructors saying they don't understand what we're talking about when we start using technology. Again, this is instructors talking about students, saying they don't understand. I hear they only learn if they take notes by hand. Again, this is teachers talking about the students. They only learn if they take notes by hand. This is going back to the days where notebooks were being used instead of laptops and iPads. I hear instructors talking about, and administrators, that it takes too much time to set up. You know, it's a valid point. To set up instructional technology does take time. We'll talk more about that. I hear they do not pay attention in class. This is instructors talking about students. Instructional technology, or should I say technology, when you put technology into a classroom, especially if it's one-on-one, in other words, one iPad to one student, yeah, it does lead to some distractions in some cases. They don't let me teach it my way. This is an instructor talking who was put on a core curriculum, a universal curriculum. They don't let me teach it my way. And the list goes on. So we need to break it down and figure out where most of these challenges come from. It won't work. Well, let's talk about it. Okay, are we talking about each individual item? That's most often what we're talking about. It won't work in the classroom, talking about the iPad. It won't work talking about the ebooks. It won't work talking about the LMS. Well, it is not instructional technology. It is an item that may be usable instructional technology if it's handled correctly. But the core component is it won't work in a vacuum. Technology will not work on its own. We have another little interesting thing, okay? Instructors like to teach how they were taught. Let me say that again because it's sort of important. Instructors like to teach how they were taught. We need to break the mold. Think back to the days where you were sitting in school, okay? Especially if you went to school in the 80s and 90s or earlier, okay? You had students sitting in nice rows in the classroom. No talking, no distractions. Students taking notes and writing everything down from a whiteboard. Might have been showing PowerPoints, might have where you've been writing, where the teacher was writing on, might have been a chalkboard, okay? But everything that was being written down, students were taking notes on. The instructor was the sage on the stage. Now that sounds cruel, but it's the reality, okay? Everything that was learning-wise, all the knowledge came from the instructor, sometimes textbooks, but most often from the instructor, and was disseminated one way to the students. Okay, the instructor had all the knowledge and was giving it piece by piece to the students who were writing it down so that somewhere in the future they might actually use their notebooks or use their notes to build upon that knowledge. Okay, instructors like to teach how they were taught. I see this frequently, that even after we bring additional resources and technology into a classroom, the instructors have a tendency to go back to how they were taught. Okay, that is a challenge. It's especially true in career vocational education, where you had your related instruction. You had your classroom education. It was very strict. It was, this is the way we're going to do it, because most trades taught in that manner. And then the students would go out and do their apprenticeship and eventually get their real education where they were allowed to think. For most problems with instructional technology, the answer lies with a few solutions. And that says 2, but it's actually 3. I added 1. Classroom management. How an instructor works with the student to manage the classroom atmosphere. And again, I'm going to say this again because there's an important concept in here. How an instructor works with the students to manage the classroom atmosphere. The second thing is the students need to believe in the technology. Okay, believe in what it can bring and be willing to adjust. Goes back to our instructors like to teach the way they were taught. Third, instructional technology cannot be put in place just to say it's used. It has to be useful. It cannot be just a sales tool to say, hey, everybody gets a laptop when they enroll, and we use the laptop in the curriculum. Okay, it has to be useful. So that's where we're at with the first part of this. We've talked about some of the challenges. We've talked about what instructional technology is. The next portion of this presentation, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the challenges, and we're going to find out some possible solutions to each of the challenges. I'm going to group them into things that can be resolved with each one of the 3 aspects that I had here. Classroom management, instructors need to believe, and instructional technology cannot be put into place just to say it's used. It has to be useful. Some of the challenges in our challenge list of things that I've heard are very true. They are challenges. But for every challenge, there is a solution.